Hello and welcome to The Debrief. This is the show where we meet the creatives who are shaping Detroit. Yes, we do. Hi, I'm your co-host. My name is Seth Ressler.
I'm Becky Scarcella.
And look, Becky, we obviously know that the COVID-19 pandemic has had a huge impact on
everything,
but in particular restaurants,
Yes,
right? I mean, we
yes,
know
yes,
that
yes.
the food scene has gotten hit really, really hard, both because people were not able to go out to restaurants. Now that things may be going back to normal, it's obviously been really hard for people to hire. And so we're going to, the staff, but really it's not just restaurants. It's the entire food scene that has been impacted. Everything from grocery stores where you've got all those essential workers to farmers who are growing the food, a lot of stuff going on. We are going to dive into that today because we have our very own producer. She produces The Debrief here for us, Jewell Dziendziel. She is also, when she is not producing our show, she is a blogger over at The Bite Tonight, where she writes about restaurants in the Detroit area. She is also a podcaster now. You've joined the ranks.
Yay.
We're so excited to have you. You've got the Vegetarian Detroit podcast. Season 2 is out now. And season 2 looks at the impact of COVID-19 on Detroit's food system. That's what we're going to talk to you about today. Jewell, good to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Okay, good. So are we. So let's just talk a little bit about season 2 differing from season 1. You already had plans to do a season 2. How did it change when the pandemic hit?
It's a totally different conversation. So season 1 was all about me interviewing chefs about their menus, their restaurants, kind of light, really fun, easy for me to do, something I know like the back of my hand. Season 2 was a little bit different. We decided just to focus on the pandemic because it's affecting everything, like you guys mentioned. So it's a little bit of a more serious theme, but it's important conversations that need to be had.
Yeah, and it's way beyond getting takeout or curbside pickup.
You had to get very serious, right? It's a very, very, we all had to get very serious, right?
Yes. Yeah. So what surprised you the most as you're researching and delving into this? What was one topic that you really like, wow, I didn't even think about that?
The one thing that kind of blew my mind in my conversation with Idrit Godet, she's the head chef at Make Food Not Waste, and she's with Gabriel Hall. She said that cooks or chefs have the most dangerous job.
And why is that?
Good question. So they can't work from home. And oftentimes chefs or cooks are, just not paid great. They don't have health benefits. They don't have insurance. They don't have time off. So if they do get sick, they have to stay home without getting paid. And then if transportation's an issue, they have to expose themselves by taking public transit. So just a lot of different things that I never even thought of.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of those factors, but
no,
it's true. Food made by Zoom sucks.
It's not tasty.
Just so you know, right?
But and chefs rarely work in isolation. So they were in close quarters with other people at a time when we were told to separate. And
we were talking to Kiki when she was on Top Chef. And she was talking about how for the television show, they had to expand the kitchen.
Yeah,
and
they doubled the size.
Right. But that's hard to do if you're in a normal restaurant to all of a sudden just go, we're going to make this bigger, right? I mean, that's hard to do.
Yeah, impossible.
Eye-opening. So what's another thing that you weren't expecting going into this?
On the first episode, we talk about the history of Detroit with Billy Walwinkle. He's the assistant curator at the Detroit Historical Society. And he talks a lot about redlining and discrimination. And I knew that stuff went on, but he talks about it in regards to food. So oftentimes, Detroiters were sold expired food or old food, and the better quality stuff was taken to the suburbs or the white neighborhoods. And it's something that I never even thought went on.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So you bring up something interesting that I did not know until I listened to your podcast. I had always thought of Detroit as a food desert. That was one of the few things that I knew about Detroit before I moved here, was that there were supposedly no grocery stores downtown. And I just thought that was weird. And you had a number of guests who said food desert isn't the right word to describe Detroit. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's called food swamp. So Detroit has grocery stores, and Raphael Wright talks about this. He's opening up Neighborhood Grocery in Jefferson Chalmers, which is the first Black-owned, community-owned market. It's a really cool thing. But he talks about that's not the problem. Detroit has grocery stores. It's just the quality of food isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a lot of healthy food, food of high quality. Oftentimes there's junky food, convenience store food.
Right,
Beef jerky doesn't count. It's not
It
in
doesn't count. Yeah. And
a food
speaking
group.
of those expiration
Yeah.
dates, and yeah, that's really,
Right.
Exactly.
really interesting. How about I just find this fascinating. What's a third thing that surprised you?
Something that I never really even thought of, and Seth, you and I had talked about this, but the crucial role of transportation in just getting access to fresh fruits and vegetables, just any grocery store, right? If you don't have transportation, it's almost like it's a huge issue. Me, I have transportation, so I never even thought about it.
Right.
But there's a lot of people, a lot of Detroiters that don't.
Can't take the bus or something like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Right.
And it's a huge issue in Detroit for so many reasons, to get to jobs, to get to childcare, all those types of things. It's unreliable,
Yeah.
etc. And then you think about, you can't go do shopping for 3 weeks or something if you're
No,
carrying.
it's just what you can
It's just what you
carry.
can carry in your hands.
Well, and this is a
And then if the
problem.
weather's bad,
Right.
Yeah.
This is a problem under the best of circumstances, right? But
Exactly.
under
right?
pandemic circumstances, nobody wants to get on a bus or even can, in some cases, get
Deal
onto
with
public
it.
transportation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. So
Yeah.
what about, a big thing that people notice here in Detroit is just the increasing urban farming going on. There's CSAs, community supported agriculture. There's lots of farm stands, things that maybe there weren't in, more recent years. How did that play in? Did they kind of step up more during the pandemic?
Absolutely. So I talked to Tepfira Rushton. She's with Keep Growing Detroit, and they saw a huge increase in the numbers of just everything. The people, a number of people that were starting their garden resource program, the number of people that were ordering their produce boxes, everything.
Yeah. Did you find that people were really willing to talk to you about these issues?
Yeah.
Just
I think we
open-
reached out to maybe one person, and I think my barrier was that I'm finding email addresses and maybe people aren't even in the office, but everybody I reached out to was like, yes, I'd love to be on the podcast. I'd love to talk about it. Yeah. So it was really cool.
One of the things that we have in here in Detroit that they don't necessarily have in a lot of other cities is Eastern Market. And it plays kind of this crucial role. And they did things that I didn't even know about until I listened to your interview that you did. Can you talk about some of the things that maybe they may be doing that other people don't know about?
So Eastern Market is just the central hub for not only groceries, but just any, meat, any product, any just food product. And Eastern Market, they're doing, you can do curbside pickup there. Now everything is open, so you can definitely go and walk around and everything is spaced out. But they also have a variety of different programs. So they have the farm stand program where they work with local farmers. And they also have a fresh prescription program, which is really cool because it's almost like you work with your doctor. Let's say if you have chronic diseases such as diabetes or high blood pressure, you're working with your doctor to actually get a prescription, not for medication, not for drugs, but for produce. So, and then you can take that and go to Eastern Market and buy your produce. And they also have the SNAP benefits, food stamps, or the double up food bucks, where they're offering like up to $20 just to go, and you can use your bridge card there too.
Yeah. So this seems to me, all these things together, kind of rethinking the role of food providers in our community. We never knew how important this was until we started seeing shelves that were going empty. And so to that end, what about chefs? Did you learn some things about their role in the community and how it's changing?
Chefs are so important. So just this past year, I've seen so many chefs that are getting more involved in the community with making meals for those who are less fortunate, also feeding restaurant workers, essential workers that may be out of a job, but also chefs are more like educators now. So this whole thing about food is medicine, this kind of like theme is going on just all across the board, and just teaching people how to just eat better and educate people on how to prepare things the right way, and just kind of to throw away those pill bottles, and just if you just eat better, that's the medicine. That's all the medicine you need to stay healthy. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Give us an example of that. What's that look like in practice? This old chef as educator kind of thing.
Chef Phil Jones is doing like pharmacy foods, and he's got a whole program around it. So I'll have to check more about that, but it's happening.
Well, and I know we saw a lot of virtual things going on, of course, in all disciplines, but there was like, James Regatta was going on a virtual platform and saying, here's how you properly cook a steak at home,
Yeah.
Because I think a lot more people had to start or wanted to start cooking at home, and they didn't necessarily know what to do.
Yeah. So food classes, like you mentioned, and then also like meal kits too, are coming with instructions with recipes. So maybe there's some vegetables that you've never prepared in your life and you don't know how to cook a golden beet. Well, the chefs are going to teach you how to do that. And now you'll know.
How to eat a golden beet.
Oh, do you like
with your mouth, Seth?
Yeah, I guess.
Right. Yes. So there's a question that you ask at the end of every episode. We call that a benchmark feature. And the one you asked this season was, name something good that's come out of the pandemic. So I want to turn that on you. And what would you say is your good thing?
Okay. In my conversations, everyone's been saying that there's a lot of good things, which makes me feel really good. But I think I would have to agree with a lot of people in that just seeing the community come together and seeing how all these chefs are just helping people and how restaurants are helping each other, many different things, but even in my personal life, just with my friends and family. So just like checking in on each other, dropping off groceries. We all kind of knew that we were in this situation and we just had to help each other out. It's kind of like a no-brainer, but when you look back, it's really special, seeing that.
All right. Speaking of benchmark features, now that everybody knows the lingo, now that you're a podcaster, you get to use terms like that. We have one here as well at the debrief. Jewell, we're going to ask you a question that we ask all of our guests. Here we go. All right, Jewell Dziendziel, host of the Vegetarian Detroit podcast. Name a Detroit creative that everybody should know.
I got to shout out Scott Millington. He's a photographer and he's doing this really awesome project. He's capturing creatives doing their passion. So kind of what he's doing is he's photographing 104 people, different people in different creative fields over the course of a year. And it's pretty cool.
Well, very cool. Well, look, Jewell, congratulations on season 2 of the podcast. I know we're biased because we were involved, but it really did come out great. And I think it's an important discussion that people need to hear, especially, if you're into the food scene. I mean, you got some absolutely fantastic guests who really talk about what's going on in the city and the impact it's having. And so I think everybody should take a listen. Season 2 of the Vegetarian Detroit podcast is available wherever you find podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those kinds of places.
Everywhere. Yes.
Go check it out. Jewell, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
That's it for us here at The Debrief. I'm Seth Ressler.
I'm Becky Scarcello.
Lots of ways for you to find the show. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts.
All those places again.
And quite a few episodes are up on YouTube as well. So check them out there. Until next time, Detroit's moving.
Keep up.